All right. Hi, everybody. This
And
is
I have a client at 1:30, so I'll be here and cut out at 1:30.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. This is Steve Mans. I am the Wellness Warrior coach. And today we're going to talk about the 5-day detox that's coming up. So we're going to go through all the paperwork. I want you to, if you have everything available, spread that out in front of you. We'll go through the different things. I want you to, after this call, for you to feel pretty confident about, setting your intention for the detox for next week, as well as knowing when you look through all the paperwork, because there's a lot of it, that you feel a little bit more comfortable with it, because there is a lot of recipes in here. Go over that a little bit later. There's a sample menu plan. But if you buy everything that's on the full shopping list, you'll have way too much food than you'll ever be able to eat. So we'll go over that as we roll along. If you have a question, there's a chat window down in the Zoom link. So please go ahead and shoot your message down in the chat box, and we'll answer those as we go. All right. Like we talked about the other day when we were talking about the detox, please know this is for informational, educational purposes only. This can be used to help you reach your health goals. If you have any conditions, please consult your doctor before you do any exercise program, eating program, or whatever. So, when you start these new things, it's important that that you're well aware that you need to consult people, especially if you have health conditions. All right, I am super glad that all of you are here today to take this journey for yourself. This is your 5-day detox, as I always say, not my 5-day detox. So you're going to get out of it whatever you put into it. Anything that is in the detox that is suggestions, it's definitely not, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. Obviously, if you do everything that's in here, then it's going to be a lot more beneficial for you. All right. So I sort of went through a detox like this back in 2011. I mentioned this the other day when we met. I didn't like how I looked and everything, and I was like, I got to find something. And I found this book that really resonated with me. I pretty much did whatever it told me to do, and it was basically a whole foods plan, which is what this is. And after 3 months of doing that, I lost 30 pounds. And I felt great about myself. I was a lot stronger because there was an exercise component into that as well, which this does not have. This is just the eating part of it. But as I went through that journey, that whole foods thing really resonated with me, and I've really fine-tuned it over the last 10 years. Since that time I really started, because I really want, my body to be working optimally. Now, I just had surgery on my leg, but that really didn't have anything to do with, anything broke in my metabolism or anything I even did to myself. So, but it's just so I figured, our organs are good for 120 years if we take care of those. So, if I get this little thing done on my foot, it takes me, 3 to 6 months to recover. I'll be a lot better off in the end for the last 69 years of my life. So I'm going with that, and hopefully I make it. All right, so don't forget, detoxification is a natural process. This is happening all the time. It's part of your autonomic nervous system. which means that these are the things that are going on automatically. You know, no matter what, your liver is trying to detoxify things in your body. Your kidney is, you know, detoxifying. Your skin, as a last resort, is working on detoxifying things. You know, your intestines are, you know, pulling waste out of your body. So all of these things are happening without you saying, hey, liver, let's purify, you know, everything. Or, you know, hey, intestines, it's time for us to keep moving. Let's keep the ball rolling here. So autonomic means automatic. All right. Why are our systems so stressed? Well, over the last, let's see, since about the 1880s, there's been about 80,000 different man-made chemicals that have been added to our food, to our cleaning products, you know, just in our environment in general. And our body's got to be able to cope with that. So from polluted air to polluted water, all these things are always inputs that are coming in. And some of it comes in through our food as well. So in order for us to be able to work on getting those things out of our body, we have to give our body a rest in order to really do some deep cleaning. And that's really the purpose for this week. So a lot of time our bodies are overloaded and trying to get rid of the toxins, but there's just a lot of things, especially, you know, us that live in the Northeast, we got a few more toxins than, you know, the people in California that are getting most of the air that's coming off the ocean. Although China does send a lot of stuff over, that's mainly in Northern California. Oregon and Washington get most of the pollution from China. So this detox that we're going to do over the next 5 days is really a really gentle detox. You know, this isn't like a water detox where you're just having water or smoothies or just, you know, plant material or whatever. This is a whole foods detox. So this is going to start that detoxification system. You can really carry it out a lot longer. This is definitely sustainable moving forward. So if this resonates with you, you can eat like this for the rest of your life. It provides the nutrients that you need in order to be a thriving, you know, human being. All right. I'm sure you've had some of these things in the past. You know, your stomach gets bloated, you have food cravings. Maybe at 3 o'clock you have, you know, an energy crash. Maybe you get like super tired or you get super wired. I know people that go both ways on this thing. Maybe your digestion is inconsistent, or, you know, maybe your weight creeps up on you and then you got to do something to bring it down and you go on that yo-yo thing. You know, some people even, you know, report that, you know, they have 2 different size clothes in their closet, just, you know, for when things go, you know, a certain way. So this is the first step to, you know, start thinking about how do we combat some of these things that, you know, people really struggle with, you know, a lot of times day in and day out. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we're going to expect in this detox. So the goal is to take all the processed food out of your diet. So if you looked at the recipes already, there is not any processed food in there at all. So all of it's whole foods based. You may notice that there's maybe a few more fruits than you're used to. There's a few more ancient grains. I even put in some extra ancient grain recipes. And a lot of vegetables. There's a little bit of meat in there too, but for the most part, it is plant-based. So when you hear that thing, when you hear plant-based, that does not mean like vegetarian. I have a book right here. It's called the Pegan Diet. So from a doctor that I really respect, Dr. Mark Hyman. He was at a conference one time and he was surrounded by a vegan and a carnivore. And he was like, oh, this guy's vegan and this guy's paleo, so I'm vegan. So he was kind of a blend in between. So a lot of these diets that people think are like really rogue pretty much have one major thing in common, and that is that there's no processed food. So if you have a diet that has processed foods in it, it's probably not very good for you, even though you might lose weight or, get to some of these other, goals that you might have. So what if people noticed in just 5 days, which is kind of amazing, a reduction in their cravings, a little bit of weight loss. Like I told somebody the other day, my dad did it and he lost 11 pounds. I think a lot of that was inflammation, but it was 11 pounds nonetheless. A lot of us are just holding on to a lot of inflammation and we just need to, let it go. Some people report more energy, improved mental clarity, awareness of the foods that they're eating. Maybe I've been working with some people right now about being just more mindful about what they're eating and, thinking about mindfulness as they eat, because I'm sure I've done this in the past. Maybe you guys haven't, but sitting in front of a TV and then just like wolfing stuff down with, not even thinking about what you're eating. I just read a study this morning that said that people generally eat 25% more when they're sitting in front of the TV compared to when they're at a table just thinking about eating. So that's pretty epic. And if you think about 3 meals a day, you have 3 meals a day in front of the TV. So you're almost eating a whole extra meal a day, which is, that's kind of crazy if you ask me. All right, so what else might you expect? If you follow everything, be ready to be cranky for a couple days, generally around, when like the bottom end of Tuesday, Wednesday, and a little bit of Thursday, you might be a little bit of cranky, but, really don't despair when that happens, just because all that means is that good things are happening in your body and toxins are being released. When we eat toxins or inhale toxins or whatever, our liver puts these like foam cells around them, and then they get stored in fat, and our fat cells don't like to let them go. So the only time they let them go is when we give our body a break, and they can release the toxins. So if you're feeling a little bit of a headache on day 2, 3, a little bit of 4, then just know that that's just some toxins being released. So drink a little bit more water, breathe a little bit more deeply. So just don't despair, because that's, the thing that generally happens. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how to prepare and get the most out of this thing. So I did not print out a shopping list, but when you're going to make your shopping list, you have your recipe guide with you. On page 2 of your recipe guide is suggested recipes for each meal of the day. All right, for me, that's a lot of food, because a lot of times I generally don't eat 3 meals a day. Generally I'm at 2, but this is not designed so you're starving. This is designed to help you detox. So if you're hungry, then eat more things off the list. That's perfectly fine. All right. The purpose this week is not, or next week is not to starve. It is to work on detoxifying by eating whole foods. So on the suggested recipe list, there's a lot of things on there. So go through those recipes today and tomorrow. Figure out which ones that you think that you might like to try. What we found is that even if it says it might be like 1 or 2 servings, sometimes, Rebecca and I will get another whole meal out of it. So And I would even suggest just buying food for maybe 2 or 3 of the days and then see how it rolls. And then, if you need to run out and get a few extra things for those last couple of days, then, then that's fine. All right. Any question about the suggested recipes? You can just pop them in the chat box if you like. All right, as things go, please go ahead and pop them in there if you need to. And then we always use the blank shopping list because, we'll go through, we have a lot of these things. So as we go through all of those things, there might only be 1 or 2 things that we need to get. So it's not usually that big a deal. Depends on how clean you eat already. If you already eat clean, you might have a lot of these things, spices and stuff, and the good oils. But on the other hand, if you're really coming from a processed food realm, then there may be a bunch of stuff that you need to think about. So on page 4 is the basics. So there's black rice in there and cauliflower rice, and you will not find them in any of the recipes. So if you see anywhere where there's brown rice or there's quinoa and you want to switch those things out for black rice or rice cauliflower, and black rice are the way better choices. All right. Black rice is not a grain. It's an actual seed. It actually cooks really weird. So if you do end up getting black rice, follow the instructions exactly how they're printed. If you try to make it like regular rice, it'll go off the rails. Trust me. We've had plumes of smoke in here because we tried to cook black rice the old-fashioned way, and that just wasn't happening. All right. Deb asked, a water purified, where do you get it if you don't have? I have a Berkey filter. You can get spring water. I know we also have a water filter that goes right on our nozzle in our kitchen that is adequate. The Brita filters that you keep in the fridge are adequate as well. They do filter out a lot of the things that are in our water. Water is for a whole different day. I can go on and on about water, and I need to do a little digging so I can show you the actual websites, because there's actual website that you can go to find out what's in your personal local water, to see how concerned you need to be. We filter everything through our Berkey filter. Hopefully that's doing a great job. We can only hope, because you really can't see those little tiny things, right? All right. A couple other things to think about. There's a lot of spices in here too, because spices have a lot of antioxidants in them, and a lot of phytonutrients. And there's like a lot of studies going into phytonutrients and those microchemicals that are really doing, amazing things in our system. But if there's a spice in here and you really don't have a lot, we go to the food co-op in Pittsburgh, and they have like bulk spices. So you can actually just get what you need, whether it's like a little tablespoon or a teaspoon or whatever. So it's not necessary to buy a giant thing of spice if you're not sure you're going to like it. So go into one of these places that actually have, where you can pick out exactly what you want is good. There might be a bunch of things that are new to you that maybe you haven't used before. Chia seeds is one that you might not have used before. Now, in the breakfast section, there is some things in there. On page 7, they have a banana chia oatmeal. We will probably make that, but we probably won't use oats. If you do get oats, try to get organic oats. Sometimes there's some gluten in oats. And one of the things that we're trying to do this week is to not only eat whole foods, but also take those allergens out of your diet for 1 week. So most people are allergic to gluten or grain, or which are in some grains. Casein, which is in, well, a certain type of casein that's in a lot of dairy products. Lots of us have a major problem with sugar, whether we even know it or not. So those are the 3 biggies that are in a lot of processed food. The oils are another big thing that we're really taking out of your diet this week, except for extra virgin olive oil. And there may be some coconut oil and some avocado in here as well, but those are really the big ones to use in it at any one time. All those other ones have a lot of bad things going on inside them. If you need more information about that, go to drkate.com, CATE, and find out about vegetable oils. All right, so don't forget, this will start on Monday, so you have some time to get your list ready. So like I said, use that blank shopping list, write down some things that really resonate with you. I mean, it's only 5 days, so I don't know if you're anything like me, I could probably eat the same thing for 5 days in a row, but that's just me. If you need a little variety in your life, then pick a few of those things. Excuse me. And this weekend, go ahead and go grocery shopping. Wear a mask. Can't trust too many people out there, right? Nowadays. So go and get the things that you need, and then definitely set some time aside to do some food prep. All right, you want to try to get things chopped if you need to get those chopped, and just to get things ready, so when you're ready to cook those things that you can just do those. Okay. Some of us are still working, so it's important that we don't take that time. I don't want this to be a burden to you throughout the week. I want you to be able to do the food part of it effortlessly. So if we set some time over on the weekend to do those things, then we'll get those things done. All right. Just going through the chat here. All right, another super important thing is water. All right, one way to get those toxins once they're loosened up from our fat or wherever they're stored at in our body is to flush them out with water. Generally speaking, half your body weight in ounces is the amount of water that you should basically drink throughout the day. For me, I'm about I'm gonna round up a little bit, round down because the math's easier. I'm about 160, so I really should be drinking 80 ounces of water a day. So if you have a 16-ounce bottle, that's like 5 of those bottles a day. All right, I don't know how much this one is, but I got to work on that anyway. But just keep that in mind. If you don't like water that much, put some like blueberries or raspberries or maybe some cucumbers in there, squeeze a little bit of lemon in there, and maybe that'll help the water get down a little bit. My mom isn't crazy about drinking water, so she has to kind of fake herself out to get all of her water in for the week. So you really want to be going to the bathroom enough to get those toxins out of your system. So really try to concentrate on getting the water in. Try to skip the plastic water bottles also. Even if you get BPA-free plastic, these chemical companies are savvy. They, since they can't use BPA as much, then they just change the chemical formula and make it BPB, all right, BPC plastic. So it takes a long time for data to come out to say that it's harmful. So just like Monsanto, they're getting called on glyphosate. Well, they already have things in the works to change that glyphosate a little bit, just to make it chemically a little bit different. They're going to rebrand it under a different name, and they're just going to use it again. And then it's going to be another 40 years before the research catches up to it in order for that to be banned. So they got all their ways to work around this. Deb mentioned if hot lemon water works. I would say warm lemon water. Definitely do that. Probably one of the best, and this is not in the protocol at all, but one of the best things to drink in the morning is a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of lemon juice, and then put that in some warm water and chug it down. It's like kind of chlorine for your system. So Mary asked me how I know what all these companies are doing. They drive me bonkers. I always try just to know what they're doing so I can know what to expect. And I'll be doing Monday night talks after this, just on just about different topics. So I usually do a different topic each week. So everybody that's here is more than welcome to come to those on Monday nights. So they should be starting this Monday. This Monday is about sleep, but if you're gonna listen to this, a couple months later, the sleep one will be way over. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the handbook. So I've already gone over the detox tips on page 2. Mary, I'll send that out on from my email service. So if you don't get that by Monday afternoon, just shoot me a text message and I'll shoot that out to you and I'll get you on that mailing list. I thought I put you on it, but maybe I didn't. All right. So the preparation checklist, I'm just going to read through this. This is on page 3. It says read through the winter 5-day detox beginner's handbook, which is what I have right now. Read through the 5-day detox beginner recipes. We've already done that. Skip the shopping list. It's already done for you. Make your own shopping list. Okay, we talked about those. I did not provide you with the eating out guide. If you want that, you can just shoot me a message and I can get that out to you as well. I think I included the self-care guide this time, and I do definitely want to go through that because that stuff's super important. And then deepening your detox, I'll get that out to you as well. And then down at the bottom, I am going to share my screen here. Let's see. Okay. I need to blow this thing up. There we go. All right. So what I also included in your email with all your things is the EWG, Shopper's Guide to Pesticides and Produce. And I also have the Clean 15. So what the Dirty Dozen is, it's by the Environmental Working Group. And they test vegetables and fruits every year to find out how much pesticide, what the pesticide and herbicide load is on them. So strawberries is really number 1 on the list. That carries the most toxins. Spinach, kale, collard green, mustard greens, all those things carry a pretty heavy load. Nectarines, apples, grapes, cherries, peaches, pears, tomatoes, celery, and peppers carry the heaviest load. So if you're on a budget and you're really just trying to decide what do you want to buy organic and what you want to buy conventional, These ones on the Dirty Dozen are like ones that you definitely either want to grow yourself, because I think Deb grows some of these herself, or you definitely want to buy organic, because most of them have very thin skin and they get sprayed a lot to keep the bugs off of them. And you just can't get those things off very easily. So this is the Dirty Dozen. Again, I gave you a sheet like that. And let me see if I can find the other one real quick. All right, so here's the Clean 15. So these are the ones that you don't necessarily have to buy organic. So avocado, sweet corn, which I was very surprised at. Pineapples, sweet peas, frozen, broccoli, because who wants to eat broccoli, right? Asparagus, that's tough. That's a tough animal to eat as well. Papaya, onions, I guess because onions grow underground, they don't get as much pesticides on them. Cauliflower, same thing. Cabbage, those are all the cruciferous, however you say that word, family. So I don't think animals like to eat, bugs and stuff like to eat those things very much. But these other things have nice thick skin, so that keeps out some of the things. Or they just don't need to spray them because they got natural, defenses. All right. And again, I gave you those copies of those. You can actually get a little card and cut it out and fold it and use it as a business card shape and throw it in your wallet, and take it with you wherever you go. That until you learn which ones are definitely good and which ones aren't as good, or have a high pesticide load and have a low pesticide load. Carry it around with you so you can be mindful of how much pesticides that we're getting, because those are things that our system needs to get rid of. I've done a whole talk just on pesticides and how they get on there and what happens from there. All right, if we go through the handbook, again, go through there. There's a lot of good stuff in there. It talks about getting rid of caffeine, sugar, dairy, red meat, pork, and gluten. I don't have as much of a problem with red meat if it's grass-fed. Conventional's got all kind of issues, but grass-fed stuff is usually pretty good. What to expect when you're detoxing? There's a whole list of maybe 15 different things of possible things that you might feel throughout the next week, at the end of, what could happen. If you look down the fifth one on there on page 5, it says emotional release at unexpected times. As things are, released from your fat, it can be very emotional. So if you feel like you're extra on edge or you feel like you need to cry, then, just let it out. It's fine. It's all part of the process. Don't think that something weird's going on. Well, something weird is going on, but it's a good weird. It's not a bad weird. So just don't be alarmed. Anything that happens this week. All right, so the next one is just general guidelines. I will let you meander through that yourself. And the daily protocol, that's on page 8. So I'm going to go through part of this with you. So when you get up, on there it says have, some warm or hot water, not too hot water, with a tablespoon or 2 of fresh lemon juice. Now, if you want to hack that even more, put some ACV in there, apple cider vinegar, that'll even make it a little bit better. Green or herbal tea will actually help with the detoxification process. So for breakfast or whenever you feel like having some, herbal or green tea, go for it. That's not going to hurt. That's going to add to your water. There's also some suggested supplements to take for this week too, and they're also listed there. If you have questions about supplements, just shoot me an email and I will tell you where to get quality supplements, because all supplements are not created equally. One study that I saw was of men's mega vitamin. I always use this example. And that was the absolute worst vitamin as far as when you put it in your mouth, it pretty much comes out the same way. So, it's all nice to buy all these fancy vitamins, but if they're just, coming out the back end and you're not using them, what's the point, right? Another tea that I always use on detoxes is either nettle tea or dandelion tea. All right. Both of those really help with liver cleansing and for liver detoxification. And again, these are on page 8. There's one that I bought like 6 boxes of them, so I got plenty to use because I only use it, during this. Milk thistle is another thing that really helps with detoxification also. When I do detox, I get milk thistle in a pill form and just take 1 a day. I got a bottle with 240 tablets in it, so I'm good for, a lot of detoxes. All right, as you move through lunch, again, get some more water. Always have some water, either beforehand or right after you eat. Lunch and dinner, especially for dinner, try to turn off all that media I talked about, like being mindful when you eat. Even turn your phone off. Even I'll get distracted by my phone and focus on it rather than what I'm eating. And then, like I said before, you just start shoveling in more stuff, and then you don't realize that you're full, and then it's too late, and then you feel miserable. So, really think about being mindful on each one of these meals. There's a snack list at the back end of the recipe manual, like for emergency foods. Some people in the past have been hungry throughout the day and just need some go-to things. And there's some safe go-to things at the end of that, at the end of the recipe book that you can check out and have available just in case you're freaking out and you need something to eat quick. All right. Try to limit your eating 3 hours. Stop your eating 3 hours before bed. So you want the magic to happen. Okay. So if your body's worried about digestion all night, then all your blood and energy is going to go through to digestion instead of repairing the other things and getting rid of the toxins and stuff like that, and even repairing the brain. So try 3 hours before bed to stop your eating. Not your drinking, just your eating. Okay. It's another helpful tip. And then also try to get to bed just a little bit earlier, maybe 15 minutes, half hour earlier. Okay. All right. There's a whole big thing in here on what to avoid and then what is in the detox instead for the alternatives. There's also a breakdown of if you want to wean yourself off coffee, there's a way to do that on page 13. So if you want to venture into that to really get deep into this detox, try to get rid of the caffeine for 5 days. It'll be rough, trust me. I've done it a bunch of times, but you want all of your systems to be working on detoxing. So how are we getting rid of these toxins? Well, sweating's one way that you can get rid of toxins. If you have a sauna, hop in that bad boy. That's always a good thing to do. Breathing, deep breathing. I usually go over box breathing with the people that come to my exercise classes. And that's from the Navy SEALs. That's 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds to let your breath out, and then 4-second leaving the breath out. And just cycle around every 16 seconds, do those rotations, as long as you can think about it. Usually I get bored after about 4 rounds and then I forget I'm doing it. It's good enough. Going number 1 and number 2 is another way to get those toxins out of your body. All right. There's also on page 16, I don't know if you can see this on here or not, but there's a daily checklist. And I'm going to read through those daily checklists. So if you want to slap this up on the fridge just to make sure that you're doing all the things that, all these soft, I call them soft skill things that are around the eating. Drinking lots of water is the first thing, check that off. If you weigh 100 pounds, get 50 ounces of water. Get a lot of water from your food too. So, keep that in mind too. Even if you get 50 ounces of water, you're probably getting like 70 with all the food that you're eating too. Because vegetables are mostly water. Be more conscientious about your moving throughout the day. So if you sit a lot, get up and just do a few laps around the couch or around the office. I call these things exercise snacks, where you just do a couple little exercise in between either meetings or, whatever you're doing, TV shows, or, reading a chapter in the book, getting up and walking around a little bit, push-ups or, whatever you want to do, just to keep your body active. So that's going to keep that blood flowing, to keep those toxins moving around and getting them out of you. I already talked about the next one, which is more mindful eating. Really think about, chewing your food and thinking about the flavors. A lot of time we're just eating to eat, and I'm not sure, why that's a thing, but I talked to a client today about eating, he's gone through this mindset thing I'm working with him on about, you're eating for, to nourish your body properly instead of like it being a social gathering. Because in this country, maybe even other countries too, maybe all countries, it's been, food is just something that you do, or is additionally what you do when you're with a group of people. All right. It doesn't have to be that way, right? I mean, why do you go visit somebody? You don't go visit them to eat, you go visit them to visit those people. So think about being mindful of what you eat. And then if you do see people, think about the time you're spending with them instead of, worried about eating while you're there too. Because, that human connection is way more important than the eating connection that you have with them. The next thing on the list is to practice gratitude. So do this however you want. This is like something that almost all of us skip day in and day out, is, think about one or two things, either in the morning or in the evening before you go to bed, of what you're thankful for. All right, it could be anything, just whatever. And writing it down is better than just thinking of it too. So if you have a little journal and you can write down a couple things to help you think about things that you're grateful for, that's awesome too. That's gonna, trigger some different chemicals in your mind and help you to live more positively, if that makes any sense. Try to stick to the meal guidelines that are in here. I mean, it's only 5 days. You can do it. You can go 5 days without gluten. You can do 5 days without dairy. I'm pretty sure you won't die. Just kidding, you won't. And then the next checkbox is went to bed early. All right, so there's one of these for each day of the detox. All right, so the last thing that I wanted to talk about before we finish up for today is what I consider probably the thing that almost every single one of my clients does not do, and probably most of us don't do, and that's self-care. I included this self-care handbook. It's not color, but it's just black and white. The self-care handbook when I sent out all the materials. So it gives you 15 self-care secrets to do. To do all 15, pick some of them, but think about in your life how many times or even years that you went through life where you did not think, okay, well, what's best for me? Most of us are worried about what's best for our kids or what's best for our parents or what's best for, our spouse or whatever. All right. We never worry about taking care of ourselves. All right. We got to worry about number one before we can effectively take care of everybody else. If you don't get enough sleep, I don't know about you, but I can't function as well the next day. If I get 6 hours sleep, I'm just okay for the rest of the day. If I get 7.5, even 8, then I'm like energized for the whole day. Maybe people want to be around me more. I don't know about that. We'll have to ask people on that one. So jury's out on that, but you know what I mean. Okay, sorry about that. And then on page 6 of this self-care packet is self-care plan. All right. And any of the detoxes that I've done so far, I haven't really focused much on this, but I really want you to look at page 6 of that. It asks you some questions, what you're going to commit to for the week as far as self-care goes. Right. So pick one thing, pick 2 things, have an Epsom salt bath every day. That's a great self-care thing that you can do. Whatever you choose. And then there's a spot down the bottom for you to sign and date it. All right, to make it more real for yourself. Okay, I know it seems kind of silly, you're just signing it for yourself, but signing it and making that commitment to yourself is super important. So really take this week to focus on yourself, right? Some people might be coming along on this ride with you this week, but really concentrate on self-care. Really concentrate on eating these whole foods things, sticking to what it says in there as best you can. Again, it's your detox, it's not mine. If you're hungry, eat. If you're thirsty, drink. If you're hungry, drink first and then eat, because a lot of times your body can't tell if you're thirsty or hungry. So give it a little water first and then go for the food. There's plenty of things in the detox in the food items. So if you get hungry, just eat it. Don't worry about, you're not going to wait. I guess you could overeat, but everything in that, recipe guide is good food. So if you need something extra, then just take it. All right. Also remember, if you have any medical conditions, please make sure that you consult a doctor. Especially if you're diabetic, because if you're diabetic, then you really got to pay attention to your blood sugars. And when you eat a whole foods diet instead of a processed foods diet, you don't get as many sugars as you do in the standard American diet. So that might throw off your blood sugar a little bit. All right. Any additional questions? I feel like I talked a long time. Deb asked about what about calcium for us with brittle bones. Well, the number one thing to do for brittle bones is exercise. So, do 100 burpees a day. That'll help stiffen up your bones. I know Deb will do that one. Any other questions? If you want to turn your mic on, I'm going to stop the recording.